Hello everyone, today I'm going to be reviewing the Mistborn trilogy written by Brandon Sanderson. That's one of my favorite epic fantasy that I've ever read, and this is going to be a non-spoilery review, so enjoy. So Mistborn is an epic fantasy in spite of being just three books, just because of the fact that the story span like a really grand scheme of events. So the first book is The Final Empire or The Mistborn, depending on which edition you have bought. But the first book could be read as one of the standalones, and you can just read it. And if you don't read the second two, then it doesn't matter because it's written in such a way. World building in the first book isn't great, but it really picks up in the second book, the Well of Ascension. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Whatever. So the character of this book, of all the three books, are always great. They never feel like married. So they always have some kind of flaws, or they always feel very, very human. The first book, The Final Empire, is essentially a heist novel. The second book is filled with political intrigue, and I have to say that the political intrigue does not feel forced or anything. If anything, it feels really natural, free-flowing and amazing. More like House of Cards, different people with different motives colliding, or like Game of Thrones level of political intrigue. So it's really good. Now the third book, The Hero of the Ages, actually brings us the grand scale of things. Actually, the grand scale of things start happening in the second book, but you still don't get a view of that very well. And the third book, you get a much proper view. Many people say that the second book in this trilogy is not the best because it's usually not that action heavy. It's more politically driven. So yeah, there's one thing, but I like political intrigue, so I did enjoy the second book. I did enjoy the first book because there was a lot of action. I did enjoy the third book because there was a lot of action as well. The twists and turns, the plot twist that comes at the end or in the middle of every book is always amazing. The plot twist never feels like it's been forced or anything, and you can actually figure out the plot twist if you pay really careful attention to it. But Brandon Sanderson has a really good way of writing, so most of the time you can't figure it out. And yeah, Brandon Sanderson, I feel like almost is writing a mystery novel, like a Sherlock Holmes mystery novel, because it's really gripping. The mystery is really gripping, but still it doesn't feel like a cheat when the mystery is revealed. This is a non-spoiler review, so I can't talk about the characters without being a little spoilery, so I will just talk about the world building. So the world building is really didn't seem that innovative or interesting in the first book, at least to me, but in the second book I did understood, because we got a lot of more world building, so I did understood like, okay, this is actually an epic fantasy world building. That's the only one negative thing that I have to say about this trilogy as a whole, but yeah, the trilogy as a whole is amazing. The first book, you get introduced to two kinds of people, the nobilities and the ska. Did I just flip you off? I don't know. Sorry. Nobility are a group of people who have access to this special kind of magic system called alloymancy, and the ska does not have that, so yeah, in spite of being kept in a really poor condition, the ska could not rebel against the nobility because nobility has a power that they do not have. The nobility sometimes has a little bit tally with their slave ska, and so yeah, halflings are born. Halflings are born, and they are sometimes born with magical power of alloymancy, and so yeah, it essentially is just. First book is about the revolution of the ska. I can't talk about the second book or the third book at all because that would be like major spoiler for the first book. So yeah, so that's my review that I'm going to give. And on a note of character, I would give Mistborn trilogy a solid 9 out of 10. On the note of world building, I would give it a solid 9 out of 10. And note on writing, I would also give it a solid 10 out of 10 because Brandon Sanderson writes in a really that actually doesn't isn't that hard to read. So yes, even like people who are not that good at English like me can get into it. So yeah, this is my book review for Mistborn trilogy, and I hope you have a good time watching this. And if you did, then click the like button and click the subscribe button, and that will mean a lot to me. So thank you.